Hey, what's going on? It's about 9:15 Central Time, August 9th, 2020. What I was referring to is today is the 46th anniversary of the resignation of Richard Milhouse Nixon. And it's amazing that Nixon. We've had 45 presidents, and it's amazing that Nixon. Excuse me, allergies. So it's amazing that Nixon is the only president who has ever resigned, which stupid fly, which makes me wonder. You know, why haven't we had more presidents resign? I mean, 45 presidents over the course of about 250 years is a little bit a small number. I think we should have had more presidents resign. I think we should have held more presidents accountable to past indiscretions, problems they've done. I don't fully agree now, 25 years ago, with a lot of things Bill Clinton did as president. I think, he should have uh, maybe have done some things a little bit differently. I realized that the difference was in 1996 we would have had a Bob Dole, and we probably would have ended up in a lot worse shape than we are now. And um, I really don't think we should have ever elected or allowed George W. Bush ever to become president. I think that was a problem that has led to our current president, and I use that term very loosely because I don't think he is a president. He is a president in name only. I don't think he is a leader. I don't think he's ever led anything. And it's interesting to note that going back to W, I got this argument a lot about 20 years ago with a lot of people in college. I went to Georgia Southern University. It's uh it's not. I guess you would say it's not as liberal as the University of Georgia up in Athens. It did have its own sets of liberal Bohemians. It did have a very high uh, African American to Caucasian ratio, and but I just think that a lot of people were indoctrinated into this idea. A lot of people came from the suburbs of Atlanta, the Metro Atlanta area, or Macon, Georgia area. They're very um, conservative communities. They're very close knit. People think the same. Um, and ironically, a lot of people end up going to University of Georgia. So it's not like all the liberals and the musicians are going to UGA and everyone else is going down south to Georgia Southern. Uh, that's a very diverse population school. But I used to have a. No one likes to talk politics, especially when you're in college. And I used to have these discussions with people, and I was telling them flat out, you vote for George W. Bush, you're voting for the same people who have been in power since Reagan, Daddy Bush, Nixon, Ford, and they were like, no, 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 no. Bush Jr., whatever, he's different. He's an outsider. Yeah, outsider. The guy was born in Connecticut and yet tried to pass himself off as some Texas cowboy. you know, outsider. I mean, the guy, if you do his history, he actually was involved in a lot of very, they now call it elitist things. I mean, the guy was, I mean, he had stock in companies that produced movies, for Christ's sakes. It's not like, he was a salt of the earth person that everyone wants to think he is. But going back to the mid 70s, when Gerald Ford, who had succeeded Richard Nixon on this day to become the next president of the United States, had a golden opportunity, I think, to really put country above party. And he did the exact opposite of what he should have done. He decided that for the most part, pardoning Nixon was the best thing for the country, and I think that no, it wasn't, and I think that's when the divide came in with the you hear this term a lot, the Nixonian Republicans. I think a lot of people were heavily divided, and I think the pardoning of Nixon, even though I like Jimmy Carter, I think it led to Carter's election to president. And I really do think that if Ford had not pardoned Nixon, had he let the Justice Department or do whatever they needed to do investigating the case, if Nixon had even even if he had never served a day in prison, if he had just been convicted and Ford did nothing, I think that would have given the American public then the notion that we have a president who is going to listen to us. He wasn't elected, he was appointed, but he is working for us. And that's the thing about Ford. He wasn't elected. I mean, Spiro Agnew was elected. He was elected on the Nixon ticket, but people elected him. But Ford just came in after Agnew was booted out of there. So you have somebody who was appointed and to be a yes man for the Republican Party. Well, let's face it, Ford was a yes man. I mean, he couldn't even walk down a flight of stairs. I mean, that's always going to be the image of him falling down those damn steps, which Chevy Chase made fun of on Saturday Night Live. So, and pardoning Nixon. And I think it really angered a lot of Americans that they turned their attention toward Jimmy Carter, who I don't think they were really satisfied with, but they just could not vote for Ford. And I covered, well, I wasn't alive when Carter was running for president, but I was working in Americus, Georgia in 2002. And the publisher at the time, he was a special sections. He had a fetish for him. I mean, I'm pretty sure he jacked off to him. Just smelling the ink gave him a euphoria orgasm. But anyway, he had this idea that we were going to do a 25th anniversary on the inauguration of Jimmy Carter. Whoop-de-doo. So they had me trying to contact all these famous reporters who had covered the Carter campaign. Sam Donaldson was one of them. Like, yeah, like Sam Donaldson's gonna call some lowly reporter and bumblefuck Americus. You know what I mean? So, but I did get to talk to a few minor uh, reporters, and they actually said it was kind of the last time they were on a campaign that felt like an actual grassroots American campaign. And I think it was that kind of gee golly gee, we're all Americans spirit that helped Carter get elected. I like Carter as a person. I met him several times. I didn't think he was a great president. Looking back at what happened in his administration, he screwed up. And advisors, aides, it's just, it doesn't work sometimes. I mean, look at Daddy Bush. I mean, I don't think he was a great president, even though a lot of people will say, well, he was president when the world changed. Yeah, but he didn't have a plan, you know. The Cold War ended on his watch, and we were still acting like it was still 1967 again, you know. Dang Russians, you know. Well, the Russians are our friends now. You know, what are you going to do? It's your predecessor who wanted the Cold War over. We got the Cold War over. Now, what are you going to do about it? Well, I don't know. And that's kind of the same thing that happened with Carter. I think he was really just stuck with cleaning up the mess of the Nixon, Agnew, Ford administration. And the Republican Party was able to come in and capitalize off that and elect that son of a bitch Reagan. And if you go back and you look at the 1976 Republican National Convention, it was very hotly contested. I think a lot of people would have thrown that support behind Reagan. I think Ford may have actually not got the nomination if a lot of Republicans felt that, well, he pardoned Nixon, so it's about time we give him this. And I think that, you know, even if Ford had let Nixon serve, you know, prison time, whatever, I think maybe the Republican Party might have, may have booted him off the ticket, which has happened before with Franklin Pierce, who was an ancestor of George W. Bush. Really? I mean, it's like, you know, it's like George Foreman said, it's one big party and you're not invited. But yeah, I do think maybe that's when the Republican Party became what it is today. And you know, I grew up in the South. I grew up in Georgia, and we had a lot of them Southern Democrats there, them some of the Southern Democrats. You know, we don't want them insert whatever racial slur here. I'm not going to say it, and not you shouldn't say it either. But you know, I asked somebody, you know, and they said, "Well, I used to be a Democrat before they started giving everything to the, you know what." You know, use your imagination what they said next. It wasn't this notion that you know, some people who have been oppressed for centuries are finally getting some equal consideration is somehow a big handout. So that's kind of what I think happened, was that they switched parties, and Nixon was able to capitalize on their racism and their hatred and people non-white, and Reagan especially, and Daddy Bush with Lee Atwater and Willie Horton ad, I think really significant, significantly, excuse me, signified what the Republican Party was all about. It was about white dominance, white supremacy, and I think no matter what people say, it could have went a whole lot differently. And I just hope and pray that future generations, after I'm long and old and gone, will expect their leaders to step down when they've done bad things and not expect party politics to come in and just give them a slap on the wrist with a clean slate and a get over it. Because, I mean, literally, you have, like, Roger Stone was working for Nixon, he's working for Trump. Rumsfeld, Dick Cheney, these guys know what they're doing. They're not just coming in there to work for one president, they're coming in there to work for a party. And every time a Republican president gets elected, they want a bigger position. They want a better seat at the better table. So let's stop it. All right. They need to go away. It's 2020. These dinosaurs who have been around since the 60s and the 70s telling us how we should behave and how we should act and how we should govern don't need to be around anymore. So, today was could have. Let's start today. Let's change what should have happened 46 years ago. So, thank you.